welcome all to another episode of From the Heart. I've just been sitting here dusting off old Lucille, okay? I don't know where this thing came from, I don't know how I've obtained it. I do know where it came from my garage, but I did not make it. It was just in there. I don't know what's going on. Frankly, I'm a little scared for what maybe my roommate might be doing. This shit's kind of scary, and it's very pointy. But I've recently been thinking about The Walking Dead, the comic books. I've never really touched them, so I thought, I'll look that up. I did, and I seen this. Here Comes Negan. A short little tale about his actual origin story, and I thought, that will be really neat to see where Negan comes from, why he's the way he is, why he would bash Glenn's head in like that, with just absolutely no remorse. I still remember that day, the first time I watched that episode when it was coming out, and it still haunts me a little bit. Now this thing's caught on my chair. Negan's such an interesting character, no matter how much you hate him. That's kind of what makes a good villain, is when you hate him so much that you can't even stand to see what they're gonna do next, okay? They're not boring. When every time they come on screen, and you just go, oh fuck. And that is the word of the day for this book, okay? There is probably at least 100 some fucks in this with Negan. He says it, if not every sentence, then every other sentence. And that was one thing that I didn't really care too much for. It comes off as a little cringy. He makes a lot of really weird jokes in this that just aren't anywhere near funny. I just don't remember him being like that in the show, He's a little more composed, he's very serious, he's very intense, and in this, he just kind of comes off as like a goofball that knows how to get shit done. And I recently just posted a tweet saying, this is probably one of the biggest meh comic books that I've read in a while. It's not very often where I see a character on TV or a movie, find out they have a book or their own comic or something like that, and end up preferring the TV show version of it. But that is kind of the case here, okay? I think Negan's done a lot better in the show, which is surprising. Now, I haven't touched the mainline Walking Dead comics, so I don't know if he gets better. But in this, he's just kind of a doucher, and I don't mean in like a badass villain way. I mean in just kind of an asshole. The human embodiment of the kid that always wears shorts in school, the human embodiment of a tap-out shirt. And you might think that's a little harsh, but we will go through this, and you can tell me yourself. Now, this all starts off with Negan playing a ping pong game with some of the local kids at his school. He's actually a gym teacher. I never knew that, so I guess I can give this book that, alright? A little piece of lore that I never knew. They're losing, and they're losing miserably, okay? The first line of dialogue in this is Negan telling him, if my wrist was that weak, I'd need 3 pictures of your mom to blow my load. Now, which one of you pricks is next? And these kids are scared, okay? One of them bolts out the door, one of them kind of apologizes, and he's like, I'm sorry, John, such a pussy. Which is kind of funny, okay? At the beginning of this was a little bit funny, alright? But once these kids leave, his wife Lucille comes out, okay? I also never knew that his bat's name was, named after his wife. And I must say, I stopped watching The Dead shortly after Carl died. I just kind of fell off. I thought the show was just kind of the same shit over and over and over and over. But I would like to continue it. But yes, his wife comes out, she's yelling at me now. She's saying, these children's parents are pissed, Negan. They're telling me you cussed them out. You're a gym teacher, you're a role model. And he basically just says, you hear half the shit these kids say in school? I need to be the cool teacher, the hip teacher. When I'm outside of school and they see me, I need to be the guy that they're like, wow, that's a cool individual. I like that guy. And as she starts yelling at him a little more, she just falls to the ground out of nowhere. She faints. Negan is extremely worried. They end up going to the hospital and they find out some very tragic news. They find out that Negan's wife actually has cancer, and they're both extremely sad about this. They end up going home. She lays in bed and Negan kind of goes off into the nighttime to do whatever a Negan does. And what a Negan does is go over to the neighbor's lady and goes to Pound Town, alright? He's laying it into this woman, but he's not looking her in the eyes, and this is bothering her, alright? She says, Negan, I'm down here. Bless your eyes upon this holy body. And he won't, alright? He sits down, and he kind of tells her, no, out of nowhere, my wife has cancer, and she is pissed. She is very angry. She tells me, no, this isn't my fault. I didn't drag you into this. I didn't force you to do this. You just need to leave. Why would you drop that on me? You're such an asshole. And his response basically is, why did it take you this long to notice? Classic Negan in this book. Classic Negan. But he does leave, and he heads home. He crawls in bed, and his wife kind of wakes up, and he tells her he's sorry. She basically just tells me, no biggie. And she's got the smile on her face, and she says, I would have gotten up to puke soon anyways, honey. And she notices that he looks a little sad. She asks, what's wrong? And Negan says, I made a choice. choice, alright? I don't need it anymore. I don't need anybody anymore. I just need you. I just want to be together, and I've made the choice to let the other person go. And this is where I get a little confused, is she kind of knows what's going on, alright? And she's kind of pissed that he's made this decision just to stay with her. She says, you know, why would you pick the sick one? I'm gonna die soon. I'm not gonna be here for you long. You should have picked a healthy one. The one that would have stayed so you could have some company when I'm gone. And he doesn't want to hear any of this. He just tells her, you know, I love you. I love you so much, and I don't need anybody except you. Now, flash cut back to the hospital. She has no hair anymore. Things are getting very bad. And he kind of tells her, no more negativity. You're gonna be a health ninja. You're gonna slay this cancer with a broadsword. And she's kind of telling me, no, Negan, ninjas don't use broadswords. You're off your game, but I do appreciate it. She kind of falls asleep, and the doctor bursts in the door, alright? And he screams at them. He says, you need to go. We need to go. If something is very wrong. The hospital is under attack, and she is too sick to move. There's nothing we can do. You need to leave. He tells him to fuck off, alright? He's not leaving his wife for anything, and he slams the door, and he goes out and looks at the window. And there's a whole crowd of people outside trying to smash into this single car. And he's noticing something is very wrong with his people. This doesn't seem like a political riot. It doesn't seem anything like that. And he looks back at his wife, and she's kind of starting to gurgle, alright? She falls off the bed, and she's starting to crawl, and he goes, Lucille, I thought you were dead. And as she starts making obvious zombie or aka walker noises, he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what's going on. He has no idea. At this point, the zombie invasion's actually been going on for like 3 to 4 days. It's been all over the news, but he's been preoccupied with his wife, with Lucille. But realizing that there's something very wrong, he bolts out the door. He says, I'm sorry, I gotta leave you here. I don't know what's going on. And he runs out into the hospital pavilion where this kid is being mauled by these two gentlemen or whatever. And the kid's yelling out, help, help. And this is where he kind of starts his weird little jokes. He looks at the kid and he says, you need to actually ask help from somebody who can help, alright? And he runs up and he starts beating the fuck out of these zombies. He's punching them, he's kicking them, he's doing everything he can. This kid tells me, I've seen these things get shot in 5 times before. You need to bash their heads in. And he grabs a fire extinguisher off the wall, and he starts bashing heads in, alright? These zombies are dead. They're toast. I'm feeling very agile with this thing, alright? I get why he uses it. And this first kid that he meets kind of comes off as like a tutorial NPC off of a video game. He instantly tells him, these guys are dead. You don't need to worry about killing them, because Negan is concerned, alright? He thinks he's just murdered 2 people. But the kid tells him, these people are dead. This has been going on for days now. How do you not know about any of this? And he just tells him, I've been a little preoccupied in this other room with my with this person. And he tells me, will you go deal with it? She's laying next to the bed. Just go deal with it so we can leave. And the kid goes and he comes back, and they kind of have this little conversation about how it's his wife, and Negan's kind of a dick. This kid tells me, this just happened to my grandmother. She got sick, and even when she died and came back, I wasn't able to kill her myself. And he just tells me, we've all had a shit day. Let's get out of here. And as they're walking out the building, he starts going off on this weird little rant. He goes, you're old enough to know that life is just a constant hunt for the path that leads to fucking. Our body wants to make babies, but we don't think about that part. It's gross. You're what, 15? And the kid exclaims, I'm 13. And he says, close enough. To where he goes on to this other rant, and he says, still a virgin then, huh? And this kid awkwardly says, no. He's like, I don't know is a yes, and good for you. Take your time, make it special, make it count. Honestly, push it off as long as you can. It's kind of like that whale who ate that guy's leg and just wouldn't leave him alone. Is that how the story went? Once you get a taste of human leg, you'll go to the ends of earth to get more. And by human leg, I mean sex. And the kid starts cracking up, and he says, that got you good. And suddenly this kid's like, there is this girl, my neighbor. I was thinking if I could find her, protect her from all of this, keep her safe, maybe then she'd like me. And he says, man, I like your style. And there's just a lot of parts like this. Well, not a lot. This is not very long at all. But I just thought this was just kind of weird. He's like, this chick's parents died. I bet I could protect her and totally get laid and stuff. I don't know what demographic this is meant for. I don't know if this is meant for teenagers. But as a 26-year-old man, I just thought a lot of this was kind of whack. But inevitably, this kid does die, okay? And Negan is left on his own. He's growing a beard, he's siphoning gas. He goes off on a lot more little one-liners like this one, alright? He's siphoning gas, and these people are walking up to him, and he says, and they're telling me, maybe that's our gas you're taking. He says, maybe you'll be taking my beating in return. I mean, I'll give you a beating. Not that you'll. And he pauses, and he says, that was supposed to sound fucking clever, and let me start over. I haven't spoken out loud for 3 weeks. And they're just kind of mad at him. They want this gas, but he basically just screams at people and tells them, stop. We need to work together. I've seen this car down the road. It's got these keys. What are you even going to do with this gas without a car? So we might as well just conjoin teams and go to this car. They end up doing that. The car ends up not working, but he takes these people with him, and that's kind of all starting this little montage event. Most of this book is kind of just a montage of how he survived. It goes from survivor group to survivor group. Each one is basically just about a panel long. It always shows them talking about somebody that died and how they couldn't save them, and then suddenly they're dying and Negan's trying to save them. And then on to the next person. This happens about 10 times until the final one where they're at a Walmart, alright, and this lady kind of freaks out. Her brother ends up dying, and Negan's sick of it. He actually starts screaming at her. He says, this lady's bit, and he's just had absolutely enough of just seeing people die. And he says, you're bit? Fuck you. Go fucking fuck yourself up your fucking ass, you fuck. I'm sick to death of this shit. You ran and you let your father die. You fucking flipped your shit out in there, and you let your brother die as well. And for all your trouble, you get to fucking die now. I'm sick of you people. You're all fucking weak. All you ever do is die. So die. And he just leaves, alright? This is actually where things start to come in, where you start to learn a little bit more about Negan. He meets another group, and he just wants to teach them, stop dying. He basically tells them, just get that little bit more of effort, just that little hinge. You're literally about to die, so you might as well give everything you got. Stay honed, stay focused, and that is basically this whole book, okay? There's not a whole lot that I can tell you about this. There's just not a whole lot of substance here. But he does finally find a group that is listening to him, They at one point get a little mad that he's barking orders, but he does end up keeping them safe. And from there, they actually all survive. They find a place, they find some food, and Negan starts telling him, we're gonna ration all this out equally to everybody. It's us against these living dead. We need to all actually treat each other with a little more respect, okay? He's sick of watching these people die one after the other. He wants to teach them how to not be them in the midst of a zombie crisis. He needs to teach them how to just be killing machines, surviving machines. Don't freak out, don't panic, and just realize you need to try your absolute hardest, no matter what. And that's basically his message through this entire thing. And there's actually one part in this that I really enjoyed, okay? So these people walk up and they're pointing this gun at him, and he lets them know, I don't point guns at the living, just put it down and we can join. We'll be stronger in numbers. And they end up all having this little campfire, and he sees this young girl kind of shivering. He takes off his leather jacket. He actually finds that in a little convenience store or whatever. It's not very important. It's nothing significant. He actually gets this bat off one of the dead survivors that's been using it, and he straps it to himself, and he names it Lucille, and it protects him. It puts him in a bubble, he says. Something where he doesn't need to worry. But he gives this little girl his jacket, and suddenly this older guy looks over and he says, you like the merchandise? We can work something out and you can do whatever you want. It's a whole new world out there. Anything goes. And Negan is pissed. He doesn't like seeing humans treat each other like shit, alright? He doesn't want to see them fighting each other when there's all these people literally trying to eat them alive. He just wants everybody to work together and survive. But as soon as this guy says that to Negan, he goes up to this guy and he says, what exactly are you saying? And the man just says, come on, man. You know what I'm saying, alright? I'm offering you a little something. And Negan says, yeah, I think I do. And I have to say, I have a real fucking problem with it too. I know what it's like to have a loved woman. Emphasis on loved. You lost somebody close to you? Even if you haven't, you should still be aware of the fucking world around you. It's us against them, right? So shouldn't we try to treat us a little better? If you'll do that with that woman, well, maybe you're a little closer to them than I'd like to think. I mean, you either value a human life or you fucking don't, right? Whatever you guys were doing, it stops now, or this is where we part ways. And this guy grabs him and he starts getting pissed. He says, you make the decisions now? You're gonna tell me what to do now? Huh? I'm gonna keep swinging this thing because it's fun. But he's trying to punch him, alright? He pushes him into this barbed wire. The barbed wire that actually goes around Lucille. His bat is falling right next to him. He grabs it and he cracks this guy over the head. And he just starts bashing and bashing and bashing. He gives him the old Glenn special. I'm sorry, I know that hurts the true Walking Dead people. A major spoiler, alright? Just so you know. But he crushes this guy into the resemblance of pulp from orange juice, okay? If you siphon the water out of an orange, I don't even know what I'm saying, and you were just left with the pulp, that is what this guy's head would look like. And this is kind of where he snaps, he realized he just killed a real human being. And he turns to the crowd and he's pointing Lucille at them and he says, you scared? You scared of me? Scared of dying? And he goes to this girl and he kind of picks up his jacket and he says, sorry, I don't quite know how this plays out and I like this coat. It's just kind of funny how he takes the coat because he knows these people could turn on him and he just wants to be able to actually leave with a coat. But he points Lucille at him and he says, you fucking should be. You guys look like you're on a non-stop bullet train to Pee-Pants City. Like you can't even process. You can't. Just give me a minute. He walks over to the fire. And he kind of has a moment to himself where he's like, oh my god, I just killed a real person. And then he says, stop. And he hones in his focus and he starts wrapping the barbed wire around Lucille. And while we're through here, the artwork is cool. But I gotta say, I don't know. Negan kind of looks like a king of the hill with black hair and a rounder chin. And I just thought that was a little interesting. I would like to see his character through the actual Walking Dead mainline series, just to see if he's a little more serious and he's not making all these jokes. I mean, at one point, he's sitting there, he shoots his first gun, and he says, I've never fired a gun in my life. Feels like I got a 10-foot dick made out of giant dicks that ejaculate little dicks. Seriously, guns are the shit. There's just so many lines of Negans in here that are just a little bit cringe, okay? Thing that I thought was too great. And also, every page, it just doesn't have very much dialogue. There's really not that much story. I think it moves, just the pacing's just a little off. It moves too fast. I wish we would have spent a little more time before this, but it is kind of cool, I guess, seeing him before the survivors, or the saviors, I mean. I'm sorry, it's been a little while since I watched The Walking Dead. As he's wrapping this wire around his back, he looks back to the people, and he says, you guys are all scared. You're on edge. You probably got no idea what's up or down, or whether to run or stay. I get it. It's time I told you about Lucille. Lucille meant everything to me. I didn't even know it at the time, not at all. There are moments, but for the most part, I was a piece of shit. It wasn't until she was gone that I really knew what she meant to me. I lost her when all the shit started. I was surrounded by the dead and survivors. Survivors. That wasn't something they stayed. Not for any length of time. Never actually earned that title, you feel me? Truth is, I met nothing but a long line of people who couldn't push things just a little bit further, a little harder for those they loved. They cracked. People died, and they died. Weak people. Scared people. Maybe people like you. I don't know yet, but we're gonna find out. I learned something. Being around those people, watching them die one after the other, because they were too weak, too scared, too motherfucking sad. And me, well, I felt nothing. Not for them. Not for myself, not for anyone. I wasn't scared, I wasn't sad, I wasn't angry. Well, sometimes I was angry, sometimes I was furious, but for the most part, nothing. It took me a long time to realize why. It was Lucille. She protected me. She placed me in a bubble where nothing got to me. Made me stronger. Helped me survive. This is Lucille. Instead of watching you sorry fucks die, like so many other weak motherfuckers along the way, I have a new idea. I'll let Lucille protect you too. Stand with me, and anyone who tries to hurt you, anybody who gets in our way, will end up like him. And he points down to the guy with the paw pad. So far, you've been survivors. That's the best you can hope for. Your leader is dead, and he was a fucking asshole. And he's talking to the people that actually walked up with the gun, the guy that offered him the girl or whatever. He's talking to his clan members. And he says, you can fight us, but you won't win. We consolidate supplies, protect each other, but we can make this work. But let me be clear, you work for us now. We are your saviors. And that is the start of Negan's clan. And a person comes up and he says, are you crazy? How do you expect us to watch you murder one of our own and then turn around and fall in line? And Negan just looks at him with this big old smile. I'm sure you can see it right there. And he says, look at this big bald motherfucker. He says fuck so many times in this. It's too much, man. It's too much. But he says, I like that. That's useful. So here's what I'd say, big balls. Fall the fucking line or I'll crawl up that pee hole of yours and get really deep inside. So I can really get a message to those big balls of yours without anything getting lost in translation. And I'll say, big balls, I know you think you're the king of fuck mountain and you're not accustomed to taking shit from anybody. But here's the difference. Things are different now. Here's Negan. And that's just where it ends, alright? He gets his crew of people. They establish the saviors just by him saying, we will be your saviors. And overall, I just did not think this was very good, okay? I know if you're a huge mega Walking Dead fan, and maybe some of you will be mad at me, but the writing in this was just so little substance. The jokes on it are just not good. They're very cringy, okay? Especially the one where he's talking about how his dick's made of giant dicks shooting little dicks, ejaculating tiny dicks or whatever. whatever the fuck he's saying. Just the amount of times he says the F word. I'm not somebody who's against saying the F word at all. You can go watch my old Let's Play channel. I say it over and over and over again, and I've just come to realize that it's just not good, okay? It doesn't make me see Negan as the serious, impactful character that he is in the show. He just comes off as a goober, alright? He's a goob. He's a gooby guy. The good thing that I can say is that for a hardcover, this thing was literally $10 on Amazon, and it got here in like a day, alright? I'll be happy to have it up on my shelf. But other than that, you know, it's not something I think I can really recommend to you guys. I would give this thing... We're gonna give this thing a 5, okay? It is a very insanely average book. There's nothing in here that's really gonna make you go, wow! Alright? I've read so many of these now. So many awesome stories that literally make me think afterwards, after I'm done reading, about just how awesome that was, how thoughtful that was, how good the story was, and this just ain't it, alright? Now, if you've read the Walking Dead comics, let me know down in the comments what you think. Is it better than this? Is there more to the dialogue? Is Negan a better character in that than he is here? This is actually by Kirkman himself, so it's the main guy writing it, and I just don't know why they just didn't spend a little more time in this, alright? This is about, I want to say it's about 100 pages or somewhere in those lines, a little under, maybe a little over, but yeah, just not very much substance at all. It was fun to read once, but honestly, if you have a friend or a library that maybe has this in stock for whatever reason, I would probably do that. I don't think it's anything so crucial that you need to add to your collection, and like I said, unless you're an avid Walking Dead fan, the comic book series or whatever, then maybe it's worth the buy, but honestly, I would save your money or maybe get something else that's cheaper. Get Genesis, get Bliss, even get Transformers, alright? It's got a more fun plot line going on there, and I gave that one like a 7 or something. So yes, here's Negan, lowest score on the channel yet. Hopefully it was semi-entertaining. I hope I didn't struggle too much through that. I know there's going to be a lot of cuts because for some reason I'm just having a very tough time talking. Yes, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. Follow me all the way there. I just post like what I'm doing, the books that I'm reading, when videos are coming out. Yeah, I gotta say, I at least got a fun little video to make, okay? I got to sit here with this weird apocalypse weapon that I'm gonna have to go talk to my roommates about why this thing is existing in our household. I think I'm gonna keep it, alright? I'm a little afraid. I'm gonna keep this at my door. It's very pokey. It's made out of a bunch of broken screws, it looks like. I can't even see the heads of them. I don't even know how they got this shit in there. But yes, everybody, here's Negan. I hope this video was amusing. I hope you got something out of it. I hope I saved you a little bit of money, maybe. And thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna try not to break my microphone, because I'm pretty sure it might be messed up now. So, see y'all later. I'm gonna go bash some heads with this, is what I was gonna say. Yeah.